Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I have an exclusive Q&A session with the lead developer for Icarus. You know him as Icarus on Discord. So in the conversation you're about to hear, I didn't hold back regarding questions, and I also gave Icarus some of my own insights and opinions and ideas. Jake was very honest with his answers, and it was really interesting hearing some of the feedback from the dev himself regarding features that are coming very soon, or that might not be coming at all. If you did find this Q&A interesting, let me know down in the comments with any future questions you want me to ask him. And of course, as always, leave a like on the video if you found it interesting, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.
In general, I can say whatever. Like, you can ask like questions that make us look bad or anything like that. We're not, like, I'm not holding back, so you're good in terms of that. In terms of future content, there may be some stuff that I want to keep hidden so I can reveal it at an appropriate time.
Vehicles, I know that there's been screenshots and there was in a trailer that it was like a truck or like an ATV or whatever it was. Now, what plans do you have going forward for actual vehicles?
Right. So with vehicles in general, we always wanted them from early on. But as we went through like developing, we realized that the way we wanted to use vehicles, which was a very like mud runner, ice runner style, big, slow moving things focused on logistics and maybe with some faster ones, the maps did not support it, especially with the physics that was provided with Unreal. We had lots of clipping and they'd fly through the air, or they just became almost impossible. So we decided to reevaluate that for the DLCs and actually make proper maps in which vehicles could be used and make them part of like the core gameplay loop.
That makes sense.
Yeah, obviously as time went on, people were asking for more vehicles and stuff like that, and we had a big discussion and we decided to go down the route of mounts and creatures instead. So yeah, that's what we did. So if we do have vehicles in the future, they're currently not planned for the Prometheus DLC. We will do something more bespoke and make sure it like integrates into the core gameplay, kind of like how mounts are now, because we're definitely pushing that system and we're going to expand that one out drastically.
That's good, because personally, I like mounts. I hate the idea of vehicles right now because obviously you're doing a really good job with the quality of life, especially with that week 77 update. That was really good. A lot of feedback from my communities regarding that, saying like even on AMD cards and stuff like that, saying like the game's just running a lot smoother for them. So, do you have an expected time frame for the next major DLC? So that would be Prometheus.
Yeah, we do. So we'll be working on like 3 kind of streams of content at the moment. Obviously, we've got the weekly stuff coming out, and we've got the next Galileo, which is going to be called Hypatia, and that'll be within 2-3 months away, or possibly longer, depending. And then we have the Prometheus DLC. The Prometheus DLC, we're really waiting on timing at this stage. We want to make sure that we release it at a good time when it's in a good state. I would say that it's like 90% done internally. So we're just trying to make sure we time it right in terms of release to get the most get it visible to most people, so you know people can buy it and play it and go through all of the new content that's there.
So
I can't give you an exact date, sorry.
No, I didn't expect to do. Don't worry. So with touching on that, yeah, you actually kind of answered one of the questions, because do you expect to stick to your 3-month cadence for each 3-month patch like Galileo, or do you expect any of them to go beyond 3 months?
With all the work we've queued up, some of the work is already done for some of the things in the future. So some of them are going to take less time and some of them are going to take more time. It's just a rough 3 months. So for example, the fishing, the bestiary and stuff, that was like a slightly bigger one. In terms of the next one, looking from estimates, it's going to be a shorter amount of time. But don't quote me on that, because you might hit me up in 3 months' time and go, where is it?
No, honestly, I'd rather you just take your time, to be fair. I'm not one of these people who expect you to rush, to be honest. This is something I would like to say, and a lot of other people who like who are kind of creative and who enjoy building. Can we expect any more variations in building pieces going forward? As in like different shape and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely on the cards. What you'll probably see more before that is different ways to skin your building pieces.
Right.
More decorative in terms of like changing the material or painting it or something like that. Um, there are some kind of pieces that we do want to add, and we kind of want to do a softer revamp of the building system, just so there's not so many blueprints. But that'll be coming.
For example, like archways and stuff like that in under stone. Can we ever expect anything like that? Or is that not something that you really actively
Yeah, no, potentially we could do something like that. I just we don't have like any immediate models or anything being worked on at the moment.
Right. Okay.
But like even if we get a list of things that people want, we can go through them and
Oh, I can give you a list. I can give you a list.
definitely send me through a list. Because yeah, I would love to take a look.
Okay, cool. It's just because I'm thinking more along the lines of other I know like Icarus is like all about the missions and like open world, but there's a lot of people who want to get like a lot more creative now and like they're kind of hitting their limitations. I'm just thinking along the lines of like games like Conan Exiles and stuff like that. That gives you so much variety for your building. So I was just thinking something along the lines of that. Something else that myself and the community would like to see is a wiring system. So like junction boxes, so you don't have wires going all over the place and looking like an absolute spider web. I was just wondering if that's anything you plan on changing in the future. So it's a lot more tighter.
100% we plan on changing that. I was actually in Discord talking about this with a few people the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's definitely limitations in our electricity system at the moment. We'd love to be able to. We are planning to add switches and batteries as well as certain tools, so you can actually like you can say that these objects should be powered off first if there's not enough electricity, as well as like debugging tools. There's a whole suite of things we want to do there. And now that we've finished, we've got the Galileo patch tidied away. I can get a developer or two to actually go over the electricity system and clean it up before we add those things. So, yeah, I've been very passionate about getting batteries out for a very long time. In fact, I think I was working late over the Christmas period on my own time, of course, and I got a battery in and it's sitting in game ready to go, but we didn't push it out because there was no I was not in a position to be able to push things out at that point. I was just a lonely little programmer.
Okay then, touching on that then, it's still a part of the same question. So are you planning on adding any forms of more power generation? Because I know there's a mod out there, but I refuse to use mods for Icarus for like a windmill and stuff like that. Do you plan on adding anything like that for more power generation?
Yeah, so we actually have a windmill currently ready to go, and it will probably be released in one of the weekly patches coming up. We just need a little more little tinkering on the design side to make it make sense, because we don't want to just be providing people with continuous free power without any downside. And we think we've come up with a good strategy. But yeah, stay tuned. That I would want to say within the next. No, I'm not going to put a time limit on it.
You can if you want.
Yeah, it's you hold me to it. That's the problem. We've got it, and we've got a few more design things to take care of, but I would say definitely coming soon.
Cool. Oh, I'm glad I asked that then. I was just thinking like because a lot of people, because I played a game called The Infected as well, and that has a really good power system on it, and I kind of have that as the model for like wiring and stuff like that. I don't know if you saw it, but that power system for a survival game is absolutely amazing.
I'll have a look. Actually, I haven't played The Infected, but maybe I'll download it this weekend and go through it.
This is something I absolutely love in Icarus, so I hope that you've got a good reply to this. The burnt tree situation. Is there any way you can fix that? Fix it, please? Just for my sanity, basically.
We definitely want to fix it. It's we've got a few like long-standing bugs that cause issues with performance that we are trying to tackle one by one. So the last one, obviously, we pushed out last week was the AMD fire lighting issues.
Mhm.
The burnt trees is on the list with forest fires in general, and we plan on having that be the next major performance tackling problem. So yes, 100%, we're looking into that. It's a long-standing issue, and we want to solve it.
Cool, because the problem is like you just end up having forests all burnt, and like you just got the trees standing there. Like I think I've said it on my live streams. Is would there be a way for you to be able to, I don't know, like after a day's ticked in game, where the trees disappear to give room for new trees to grow and stuff like that? Because it does get a bit
Oh,
horrible
yes.
looking. You know what I mean? When you're looking at just black trees for miles.
We do have so a while ago when we released the Thumper, we actually have another device with it that's not fully hooked up yet, but the logic's all there for regrowing trees, plants, and like vegetation. Um, Hooking that into the burnt trees to clear burnt trees as well is probably our best bet in terms of cleanup. And yeah, hopefully we get that sorted and can be pushed out soon. So that would be definitely one way. The problem with like doing a manual cleanup on the trees is they rely on one of our biggest systems called Flood, which is basically all of the instances of trees and objects and like vegetation and stuff and rocks and voxels before you've physically interacted with them, they don't exist. Yeah, and when you interact with them, they're brought to life and converted into an actor, and then you perform the interaction, like chop it down or dig into a rock or something like that. When lightning strikes trees, they are burnt,
Oh yeah.
and then they're converted to a different Flood instance. So it's part of that system that we have to clean up. And Flood's one of the big underlying things of technology that we were pushed into using quite early on, because it is good for open worlds, but it does come with performance issues.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's because the system's so complex, we have to do it very well. Otherwise, basically, things are just going to regen all over the place, or rocks won't turn up in the right location and stuff like that.
So, would you ever? I don't even know it's possible. Given I know, because a couple of people says they would like to be able to plant trees. Is that even in the realm of possibility? Being able to do it, Icarus?
Yes, we wouldn't integrate it into the Flood system. We'd have a separate thing for it, and we've actually discussed it with design and stuff in the past. There's a couple of different ways we could do it, and I would say that it's on the cards.
Oh, cool. Because I do have an idea. Like this is like how like if you I always think about like how you would integrate stuff into Icarus. You've got animals in the game. Why can't you make like manure and be able to like grow proper crops and stuff like this instead of having little crop plots? Because this is actually going to go into my next question. Is there any chance it could be where we could grow crops outside? Like, know how you see wheat and corn in the game? Is there any way where we could grow stuff like that? Small, like larger yields back, but at lower quality. But if you want to grow stuff in a more confined and controlled area, you have your crop plots, but you don't get as high quantity back, but you get higher quality kind of thing.
Mhm.
Because a lot of obviously because people are playing on servers now, there's bigger groups of people playing together. Like I just think why not just produce more stuff at like less quality?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. Yeah, and it'll be something I take back to the design team. I haven't really thought about doing it in that kind of way before. So yeah, it's interesting to think about.
Cool. Is there any plans for higher than tier 4?
Um, that's a good question. Maybe.
Because there's no way you can keep on loading blueprints into tier 1, 2, and 3 and 4, surely.
Yeah, we've got a soft plan to bring some of the T4 stuff down to T3, specifically in terms of like power and networks. But there is potential for a tier 5. but I think we'd have to do something quite special with it, maybe more high techy, rather than the kind of like scrappy junkyard tech that we assemble on planet at the low at T3 and T4.
That makes sense. I think I've mentioned this to you before, actually. Exotics in game. Any idea if you'd ever overhaul them so they'd be more randomized and distributed across Olympus sticks or wherever, instead of people just basically knowing where to run to?
Yeah. It is something we've wanted to do for a while, and you'll see we did it with sticks where most of the missions and stuff can select from the entire pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there is a little bit of searching required there, but I know people still know where the points are and run to them. Yeah, so what we did with the dropships a few months ago by making them dynamic landing locations, and what we've done with the dynamic radiant quest stuff, where you interact with the board and you get a quest on planet. Using the technology we have for that, we could definitely randomize the locations a little bit and make it a bit more of a search rather than in an exact area. Yeah, it is a problem. There's no quick solution to it, unfortunately, but I think one of the things that we've been discussing recently is giving an Olympus a bit of a sticks treatment in terms of the mission boundaries and stuff like that, and making it full open, and then we'll at least be able to open up the, what do you call them, the exotic spawn locations there as well, other than the hard set 2 or 3.
Do you do you plan on adding more missions to Olympus going forward, or do you have like a ballpark figure?
I don't have a ballpark figure. We do plan on like both keeping like adding more missions to both Olympus and Styx and any other maps that we have going forward. There's no like cut off or anything like that.
Oh, so you're just going to retroactively add them whenever, maybe?
Yeah. It's more like at this point we're looking for interesting mechanics and stuff in missions, rather than doing the whole rinse repeat thing, because I know some people really enjoy doing the same mission just at a different location. I personally don't, and other people
Tim, yeah.
don't. So yeah, we're looking at more interesting missions, and if we are going to put them on a map, we take into account who has access to it. Is it a high level mission? Is it a low level mission? Where's the best location for this to take place? There's a lot of factors that go into it. So generally, when we make a new mission, we talk about a bunch of stuff and figure out how it's going to integrate into the existing structure. But yeah, in summary, yes, where there's no reason we're not going to add new missions to Styx or Olympus.
Tier 4 crop plots right now, they're really underwhelming, and they cost a bunch, and I don't really know that many people who uses tier 4 crop plots, so just use the tier 3. I have an idea, and I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on changing them going forward, because...
Go for it. Pitch me your idea. I'll write it down.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So instead of having crop plots, why not have like hydroponic trays? They'd probably cost more power because of UV lights and stuff like that, but they'd probably grow quicker, and you can get more, and the quality would be higher. Like, obviously, I haven't fleshed that out properly because I didn't actually expect you to pitch me this. I'd actually pitch you the idea, because I think variation's a good thing in the game. And when people look at the crop plots, they're all just a square slab on the floor. And I think if someone sees a hydroponics tray at tier 4, they're more likely to go for it because it looks different. It'll probably look cooler, and it shows you've actually upgraded from tier 3, instead of saying there's a tier 4 crop plot, but it just looks the same as a tier 3. People just go, well, what I mean, that's like, they don't really get too excited, and the price of them are just absolutely wild.
Yeah, well, that's I'm just writing it down. You've definitely got a point there. The differences between the T3 and T4 aren't enough. And we do want to make T4 be significantly different than T3. One of the things we had going forward, and it wasn't reflected in a lot of early stuff, was that tier 4 needs to be bigger. It needs to be like larger than T3 to help it stand out a little bit more. But I do like the idea of hydroponic trays, and I've got some ideas already rattling around in my head about some interesting things.
What made me think about that is because of I've been playing Occupy Mars, a new survival game, and it's got hydroponic
Oh, yes.
trays in it, and just the fact that you'd maybe you need more water to run it, and you see the water flicking out on the hydroponic trays, and you can grow stuff and or make it where only certain foods can grow on the hydroponic trays, which can't grow in say crop like tier 3 crop plots, for example. I don't know, like avocados or whatever. But yeah. But like I say, as this goes back to a question that I said you earlier on about like having animals like where you can fertilize like your stuff, so you can like use the fertilizer. Because I'm really surprised, to be honest, when you added animal like mounts to the game. I fully expected you to add like dung and stuff to the game as well, because I thought you really could have ran with that and had that to do with farming, like the increase.
Okay.
Like honestly, like I think people would honestly enjoy that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good way to generate that resource, and yeah, there's clearly already spots in the game that would use it. So I don't see that's going to be too hard of a difficult of a sell.
Just want to go back to the first question I asked you regarding vehicles. Since you want to stay more with the mounts kind of thing for now, would you consider having, so for the Arctic, for example, would you consider having where you can have wolves, you can tame wolves and have them be a mode of transport, like say a sled or something like that?
Yeah, that's cool. I can't say too much because we're going to do something with wolves already.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, that's a quite an interesting idea. Something similar to the cart, but you have to have a couple of wolves in front.
Are you expecting, or when, because I think I asked you this before, my chat, are you planning on adding more world bosses to Olympus? Because it's really underwhelming only having 3 sandworm bosses right now. Obviously, you've got the land shark from the Thumper, but like on open world mode, it's like 3 world bosses, which are all sandworms.
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Any rough time frame?
there. I don't want to say too much without spoiling anything. Yeah. Okay. So the next large patch will be introducing.
Like a brand new world boss.
Yes. We have. I want to say 5 or 6 new ones going through the pipeline right now.
Okay, awesome. So are they for all biomes?
I can't go into any more detail.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I'm just probing. To be honest, that's all I've got. You've actually given me more than I expected, to be honest. And that's the conclusion of this Q&A. I would just like to thank the developers for taking their time out so I could ask them questions. And in general, I'd just like to thank Rockerworks for putting this together.